We are back, and usually it is difficult to figure out what kind of draft, what tournament we are going to be doing tonight, but it looks like everybody is in consensus, or at least pretty damn close to everybody. People want the puppy. Don't blame y'all. A massive underdog tournament, $1 million prize pool, $5 buy-in. It is filling up incredibly fast. Literally, this dropped. I have no idea. What, 3-4 days ago, 71,000 entrants already. We're going to go ahead. We're going to make this 72,000. Yes, you heard that correctly. As soon as we go live, 1,000 people enter in a tournament. Those are exact numbers. We are at pick 7. Pick 7, super comfortable spot to be. I was actually at the 7th pick earlier today off the live stream. And then I believe we pulled Amon-Ra St. Brown, which was very interesting. It looks like we have some votes for Best Ball Mania, but we'll figure this out. We'll figure this out. Now, let me know if you made it in this draft with us. Looking for familiar names in this draft room. I think Moses at 12 is a familiar name. I believe so. Chase at 4 is a familiar name as well. I think we've seen Crisp Cylinder. I don't know if in the Underdog live draft room or in the YouTube live chat. Crisp Cylinder out here at pick 9. Okay. Joshua didn't get in this one, but got pick 7 as well. We'll see how yours compares to ours, my friend. We'll see. We'll see. But here we are off. CMC, Lamb, 1 and 2. Super standard. Tyreek at 3, literally going exactly how ADP has been. Okay. B says, do another $5 draft. I missed getting in. Well, hit that like button. We'll do another. Chase off the board at 4. Jefferson, 5. Literally, this is a pick that has followed 1 for 1 with ADP. I'm sorry, this is a draft that has. Bijan goes 7, so we're going to get him. I'm sorry, goes 6. So Adam Monros, God, why can I not talk today? This is embarrassing. I'm acting like this is my first time ever live streaming. We're going to get a Monroe St. Brown at 7. The first quote unquote surprise pick of the draft. Everybody else has gone with just ADP up until this point. I'm very excited about getting St. Brown at 7. I am going to go Brees over Bijan in the vast majority of my drafts. But getting St. Brown just gives us so much flexibility where there are running backs in round 2 that I like. There are running backs in round 3 that I like. And if we go with St. Brown in round 1, we can allow ourselves to take those guys. Whereas if we were to go with Brees Hall at pick 7, then we're not going to be able to. Okay. Crisp Cylinder says, sorry, seems like my name made your mouth not work. Yes. I mean, I was stumbling even before we read your name. Then I tried reading your name, broke my brain, and everything went off the rails. Now, I am in a very interesting slow draft. I kind of got to flex this to y'all. I don't know if it's a flex. I don't know what exactly it is, but I believe it's a sprint. I'm in actually a decent amount of slow drafts at the moment. And y'all know very rarely am I ever going running back out the gate this year on Underdog just because it is so difficult to make it work. Where the wide receiver values in the middle rounds are kind of gross, whereas running back I really do like in the middle rounds. We're going to go ahead and take Nico Collins here. But I actually got a start of Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs in a $50 Underdog draft off the live stream. That is a draft with an 8-hour timer, so it's going to go a lot slower. So I'll definitely keep y'all posted. But I'm excited. Now, let's see. John coming out with a donation. Thank you, my friend. Says, should a Wilson owner be scared of Adams? Do you think Adams forces his way to the Jets? If I was a betting man and you gave me even odds of Devontae Adams being on the Jets this next year, yes or no, I would put a large percentage of the money that I have on no. I think more likely than not, Devontae Adams is not a New York Jet. Is it a possibility? Sounds like it. But I don't know. Can everybody spam the chat? What percentage chance do you think Adams goes to the Jets? What are you saying? John says, who's playing college football 2025? I wish, and I know obviously from a business perspective, it doesn't make sense for them to do this, but I wish college football would have came out in January. And if it did, I would be live streaming college football 2025 for y'all. I just don't have the time for it. 5%, 15%, 15, 0, 25, 10, 0, 5. Definitely higher than 0. I think 5's a lot closer. Y'all know a lot of times I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Kyren Williams in round 3. Kind of really target Kyren in round 3 when we get the opportunity to go wide receiver at the gate. Sadly, Kyren Williams goes here, pick 28. So sadly, we're not able to get him. I'm not going to take Derrick Henry here. I think Derrick Henry is very similar to like a Josh Jacobs pick at 55. Whereas the wide receivers in round 5 are going to be much worse than the wide receivers in round 3. So personally, I'll go Kyren in round 3. I'm not going Henry. I'm going to go Diggs to pair up with Nico. And then we'll target CJ Stroud at pick 66 later on. Okay. Joey says, I'm playing it right now. My PS5 shuts off randomly, though. RIP. John says, bro, I ordered the game and not compatible with the Xbox One S. I have not had a gaming system other than the 360. So I haven't had a gaming system forever. I've played on my my little brother's Xbox. I don't know what it's. I think it's the Xbox One. Is the Xbox One S before or after the Xbox One? What do you need? What gaming system do you need to have the PS5? I'm sorry, to have college football with. And I may have to shut down this live stream if I can't talk. Blake says Stroud has been going a lot sooner than 66 in my mock drafts. My friend, if you look at where CJ Stroud is going in underdog drafts at the moment, he has an ADP of 67.8. So there is a very realistic shot that we do get CJ Stroud now. A lot of times I would just go ahead and I would take Jalen Hurts here. But specifically whenever two things are happening. One, the wide receivers in round 6 just got less appealing now that I'm not really wanting to take Jordan Addison there. And 2, we are specifically going to be targeting CJ Stroud in round 6. I think we just go ahead, take George Pickens, don't take Josh Allen. We'll be in a spot where there should be some running backs that we are interested in at pick 55, but we'll figure it out. And of course, real quick, if you wanted to, get in a draft with us. I'm doing this literally every single night. These are best ball drafts. I hope I'm better at drafting teams than I am talking, because talking's been very tough for me this live stream. And yeah, if somehow you're new here and you've stuck around this long, if you want to get in one of these drafts, there's no time commitment at all during the season. It's how I draft hundreds of teams every year. It's how I draft every night on the live stream, and how I won $150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. So yeah, you can find a link to join in the description, comment section, live chat. Code FLOCK would get you hooked up with my 2024 Fantasy Football Draft Guide. Code FLOCK will get you hooked up with my 2024 Fantasy Football Rankings. And Code FLOCK will get you hooked up with a 50% deposit bonus up to $250. And I will say you have to be in one of these states if you want to get in an underdog draft, though. So good news, bad news. Good news is it's pretty much available in every state. Bad news is you'd have to be in one of those that are shown on the map right there. Okay, so Andrews goes off the board at 51. Richardson goes 52, which is a little interesting. Kincaid goes 53. Kincaid was for sure someone that we were targeting. Plan A is going to be Josh Jacobs. Plan B will be Terry McLaurin. And we are going to be able to go with the plan A here in Josh Jacobs. I understand that we had the opportunity to go Derrick Henry in round 3. Just personally for me, and this is my personal preference, I would way rather have Stephon Diggs and Josh Jacobs than Derrick Henry and Terry McLaurin. Now, the team after us got Derrick Henry at 41. Not going to fault them at all for taking Derrick Henry in round 4. I'll take Derrick Henry in round 4 just like they did. But specifically referring to us taking Derrick Henry at 31 versus us taking Josh Jacobs at 55, I'd way rather have Jacobs at 55. Just Sherman says, would you try to trade down Laporta in a tight end premium dynasty for another tight end in a first if you can get it? Or just write on Laporta who you would go after? The tight ends that I would trade Laporta for in dynasty if we got an extra first in return: Trey McBride, Dalton Kincaid, Kyle Pitts, and Brock Bowers. And then maybe you can make an argument for Mark Andrews. Let me see if I'm missing out on anybody here. No, that's really it. And if you thought it was a good shot that first round pick was pretty early, then I think you could even say, oh, okay, well, I'll go ahead. I will take someone like George Kittle. But you have to be pretty confident that pick was early. Now, we are going to go ahead. We will take C.J. Stroud at 66, assuming that Stroud does fall to us. But, yep, our assumption is correct. C.J. Stroud falls to us at 66. I don't want to say falls to us. We take him ahead of ADP here. But, yeah, we get him double stacked up with Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs. When we go Nico Collins round 2, Stephon Diggs round 3, the only way that this team turns $5 into $200,000 and wins this tournament is if the Houston Texans offense is one of the best offenses in the NFL. It's the only way it happens. Just Sherman says, no clue about the pick startup league. Yeah, and in that case, the guys I would trade Laporta for if we got an extra first-round pick on their side include Trey McBride, Dalton Kincaid, Kyle Pitts, Brock Bowers, and probably that's it. Duke says, Trey McBride is the worst pick this year, and I'm stamping that take. Let's go through my tight end exposures, because I hope you're correct. I've drafted very little Trey McBride. I think I would rather have Andrews Kincaid straight up over McBride, and McBride goes before these guys. So the only drafts I've taken Trey McBride in are the drafts where he falls 10 picks past ADP and Mark Andrews and Kincaid go before him. So if you're looking at my exposures, I have 11% Andrews, I have 14% Kincaid, and I have 6% Trey McBride. I have 15% Laporta, 10% Kelsey. So I am overweight every single one of the top 5 tight ends in fantasy this season, but Trey McBride, where I'm underweight. Okay. Henry says, seen Stroud go at the 809 to a double Texans wide receiver stack watching a draft today. Absolutely just nuts. I mean, the thing is, I would be almost embarrassed if C.J. Stroud fell to you in round 7 and you had a double stack for the Texans. You're really going, just take him round 7. What are we doing here? We're going to go ahead and pull up what we're looking at. Haven't taken a ton of Kamara. We can afford to make some ends. Sometimes you'll be in a spot where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so behind at wide receiver. I have no other option, but I have to take Jackson Smith and Jigba here. But this is a team where we go 4 wide receivers out the gate, right? We have St. Brown, we have Nico, we have Diggs, we have Pickens. So, I mean, we can afford the running back pick. What is interesting to point out is Jordan Addison does go pick 74. Marcus says, but I'm 25% Bowers. I'm cooked. Ooh. That is, I am probably in line with the market on Bowers. The only time I take Bowers is if he falls past ADP. I'm at 7% Bowers. So pretty much in line with market. Maybe a little bit underweight. But yeah. I mean, if you think that there's a decent shot that Adams gets dealt, which, like I said, I don't. I think more likely than not, Adams is a Raider for this season. But if you were to believe that Adams was getting sent to the Jets or somebody, then Bowers would dramatically go up. I don't think Bowers impacts Adams too much because Adams is going to be that black hole for target volume no matter what. He's going to soak up 30% of the targets in this offense. But if he were to be gone, then all of a sudden it does just open up a considerable amount of room for what you're going to get with Bowers' production. Okay, I'm honestly in a spot where I don't really know what to do. I think that there will be better teams to take Burrow on, specifically on a Higgins build. Sutton, there will probably be other spots where we are a little more. Actually, let's take Sutton. Who cares? If Jonathan Brooks is here, I'm going to go Jonathan Brooks. But with the Kamara selection in the previous round, I do think that Sutton's about to be probably the last wide receiver in this tier. Let's go ahead. Let's take him. Let's get our wide receiver 5. And I think at this point, we set ourselves up where we can probably go 6 RBs in this draft. More drafts than not, I am going to go running back here. I'm going to go with someone like Jaylen Warren. But personally, in this round, I do prefer getting someone like Jonathan Brooks when possible. Nate says, doesn't Brooks have injury concerns? 100% Jonathan Brooks has injury concerns. If Jonathan Brooks did not have injury concerns, I'd be making an argument that you should be drafting him up above David Montgomery. I'd be making an argument that you should be drafting him probably, honestly, around Joe Mixon, Rachaad White, 2 to 3 rounds earlier. But because Jonathan Brooks has injury concerns, he's the cheapest rookie RB1 that we have seen in the past decade. And obviously for other reasons, bad offense. We weren't able to see his testing profile athletically. We would assume that if he wasn't injured, he would have been a pretty damn good athlete, but it is just an assumption at the end of the day. Now, moving this over, hypothetically, let's run through the situation of Joe Burrow falling to us at 103. Does it make sense for us to take an unstacked Joe Burrow? In the past, maybe I convinced myself, let's take him. We'll target Burton later on. We'll target Mike Gesicki later on. However, now that T. Higgins does not sign his extension, now that T. Higgins is going to be playing under the franchise tag this season and he is not traded, Burton's way less interesting of a pick. I don't know how excited we'd be about a Burrow stack there. So, I'm going to be honest with you. Your boy just got played. I should have, woulda, coulda. I should not have taken Courtland Sutton in the last round. I should have gone running back. I should have gone Jaylen Warren because I think I would most likely prefer Jaylen Warren and Shaheed versus Spears and Sutton. Can y'all spam the chat? Would you rather have Sutton and Spears or Warren and Shaheed? I think we made the mistake. Now, Joshua says 12-team keeper league, keep 6, can keep 7, but forfeit the 111. It's a single flex format. We have Stroud, Bijan, Gibbs, White, Saint. This is a phenomenal team. Try trading Waddle and White for an elite player. So a couple different things that we need to talk about. One, the 111 in a 6-player keeper league is more typical of a 4th, 5th round pick, right? I don't want to say it's should be the 6-11 because obviously people are going to be keeping guys that are they're not going to be kept in the exact order that they would go off the draft board with. That's for sure. We'll probably take Benson here. Benson has been a big-time faller based off what the coaching staff saying regarding the James Conner role at the beginning of the season. But when you're drafting Trey Benson here, you're not drafting for points at the beginning of the year. You're hoping that he takes over as the guy for weeks 15, 16, 17. But anyway, say like it's a 6-player keeper. You're at pick 11. We can't call it the 6-11 just because obviously it's not like every player is going to be kept in the order that their overall ranking is. There'll be players that are kept that would actually be around 8 picks, that would actually be around 9 picks, but their keeper team just didn't have the talent. So call it a late 4th. So the question is, essentially, would we rather have, let's be generous. Let's call it a late 3rd, right? Every team in your league keeps 6 guys. We're going to assume that we're going to assume that a lot of bad players are kept. That wouldn't be going inside the first 5 rounds of drafts. So we're going to call it a late 3rd. And our options for our keepers are Stroud, Bijan, Gibbs, White, St. Brown, Waddle, Wilson, Andrews. The guys that are for sure going to be going before the late third, early fourth. Bijan, Gibbs, St. Brown, Waddle, Wilson. Make an argument, Andrews. And CJ. So really the question is, would we rather have Rachaad White? So I think I'd rather have CJ and Andrews. Bijan, Gibbs, St. Brown, Waddle, Wilson, Andrews. Bijan, Gibbs, St. Brown, Waddle, Wilson, Andrews. Actually, the questions, would we rather have CJ Stroud, Rachaad White, or like a late third, early fourth? Just looking at the guys that go late third, early fourth in this draft, it's like Amari. You're not going to have Laporta. You're not going to have Henry there in your regular league. It's going to be like Amari. Actually, it'll probably be better than that at receiver. Probably be like Tank Dell, Michael Pittman, Zay Flowers, T. Higgins. Whatever there have T. Higgins or Rachaad White in your regular redraft league, or T. Higgins, CJ Stroud. I don't know. It's a tough question. I mean, obviously the easy thing is if you can make it that 2-for-1 deal to get an upgrade where you don't have to make this decision, then it's a lot easier. But I think I'm going to keep Bijan, Gibbs, White, St. Brown, Waddle, Wilson, Andrews. I'm sorry, not White. Ignore White there. And then if your league mates punt on quarterback where you can get a very good quarterback very late, I'll probably keep the 111. However, if your league mates are going to push up talented QBs, I'm probably going to keep CJ Stroud. Like the question that you have to ask yourself is, and I know we're talking in circles, but I think keeper leagues are super interesting. If you were on the clock at pick 11 and CJ Stroud was there, would you take him? Because if the answer to that question is no, then we have no business keeping him. If the answer to that question is yes, I would take him if CJ Stroud fell to us at 11, then we just want to guarantee ourselves that we're going to get him. So, I mean, it would be very useful if we were able to see the players that are being capped in your league, of course, that we could have a better sense. Now, so obviously we could have gone with Dalton Schultz in round 11 to have the CJ Stroud, Houston Texans absolute onslaught here. Once we get the double stack, going for the third option in these super large field tournaments, you are seeing diminishing returns because there are only so many points that can be scored in a given week. And I don't necessarily know if you're going to turn $5 into $200,000 if the last week you're going to have 4 guys from the same offense hitting your lineup. So it's not like I'm going out of my way and taking Schultz at or before ADP to complete the Texans onslaught. But specifically, if he falls to us this far, we will. My actual plan was to go with one of my most drafted running backs, if not my most drafted running back in leagues this year, in Nick Chubb. But I think it's maybe an interesting spot because just in case you did not get to see it, and maybe we'll pull this up in the live stream, Augustus letting you know the new Chubb video has him looking strong. Let me flex on y'all real quick with my Nick Chubb exposure. I'm sorry, Nick Chubb's my third most drafted running back. I have Nick Chubb in 17% of my drafts. But we are heavily overweight Nick Chubb, specifically in tournaments where you're trying to optimize for weeks 15, 16, 17 to have the highest ceiling that you possibly can during that stretch. And let's pull up the video of a Mr. Nick Chubb. 8 months after surgery. Big thing that we've talked about with Chubb being willing to draft him is one, expectations. You look at where he's going. And you're taking him next to Ty Chandler. And we're in a tournament where you're trying to have the highest upside possible for the fantasy football playoff tournament, weeks 15, 16, 17. And two, while yes, he did absolutely destroy his knee, I think the reason he is being so heavily discounted is just because it happened on a primetime game where every single person and their mom was watching. So every single person in this live stream right now saw the Nick Chubb injury live. But here was Chubb today. Actually, I'm sorry. That was a screenshot of my leg workout today. I did go pretty heavy. Actually, no. I'm sorry. Is that I can't remember if this is a picture of my workout from today or this was Nick Chubb. But Nick Chubb had something like this. It was something like it if that wasn't him. You're just going to trust me on it. So I think you're completely fine to go through, draft Nick Chubb specifically in these underdog tournaments where he's priced going next to Ty Chandler. And you are chasing the ceiling in the last 3 weeks. And at the same time, I mean, come on. They just bring in Deonta Foreman. It would be completely different if this was a team that went out there and gave DeAndre Swift $24 million. But they don't invest into the running back position at all this season, indicating that the coaching staff probably thinks that Chubb's going to be a factor this season. I don't want to act like you need to take Nick Chubb in round one, as you've historically had to do, because Nick Chubb is I don't want to say the most efficient rusher of all time, but depending on the metric that you look at, he has an argument to be. But one of the most efficient running backs that we've ever seen as a pure rusher. Okay. Marcus says 7% Chubb, 350 drafts in. I'm cooked. The thing is, they're looking at Chubb's price isn't going up from here. Chubb fell behind ADP. Maybe he goes up a little bit because of the video, but I would take Nick Chubb over Ty Chandler. I would take Nick Chubb over Marshawn Lloyd. I would take Nick Chubb over Austin Eckler. I would take Nick Chubb over Zach Charbonnet. I would take Nick Chubb over Jerome Ford. I think you could see Nick Chubb. I wouldn't fault you if you took Nick Chubb 20 picks, before ADP at the moment. Not in the Eliminator tournament. Not in the marathon. Not in these spots where you really need to try to be getting points into the beginning of the season as well. But instead, specifically in the tournaments where you are looking for the end of season upside. Okay, so let me go ahead, show off the team. We go Darnell Mooney. Mooney falls an incredible amount here at 162. I think this is the furthest I've seen him fall. Now we have St. Brown, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, George Pickens, Cortland Sutton, Mike Williams, Darnell Mooney. Running back, we have Josh Jacobs, Alvin Kamara, Tajee Spears, Trey Benson, Rico Dowdle. Tight end, we have Schultz. Quarterback, we have CJ Stroud, and we have a full-blown Houston Texans onslaught. We have Nico, we have Diggs, we have Stroud. Once we have this group of guys, I'm not going out of my way trying to grab another Houston Texan. But if we have Schultz falling almost 10 picks past ADP, we'll go ahead and take him. We need a tight end. I'm not going to say we can't take any more Texans, even if it's maybe not the most optimal thing to do. We'll do it. And I was really hoping Cousins continued to fall and Cousins somehow made it back to us on the Darnell Mooney build. But Cousins already had fallen like 20 plus picks past ADP. I think it would have been crazy to see him at 175. But Kate says, I think I can say on the behalf of the flock that we all greatly appreciate the daily content, even on your bad days. You have more friends than you know. Thanks again, buddy. Thank you so much for coming out. I really do appreciate the kind words, my friend. Thank you for everything. I really do appreciate it. But things, hopefully, are on the up and up. Gary says, do you think Grinny at his peak? Okay, let me pull this up, my friend. What am I missing here? Lansdale. This is an actual football player. Do you think Grinny Lansdale at his peak could have led the 2024 Giants to a Super Bowl? Obviously, this is a joke. I just pulled it up, the pictures in black and white. And I know, but you're gonna get me going here. I will say that. And I know you are joking, but I will say something that probably a lot of people will roll their eyes at. And I get it. I'm young. You can ignore me. Completely understand where you're coming from. I think we're going to go 3 tight ends and 3 QBs with this build. We're going to go Kate Otten here at 175. But our 5 running backs are Jacobs, Kamara, Spears, Benson, Dowdle, St. Brown, Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, George Pickens, Sutton, Mike Williams, Darnell Mooney. Okay, but Here's where we get a little bit of aggressive takes coming, and we lose some members of the flock here because this is going to heat some people up. Any player that played when photos were still black and white is completely irrelevant to any sports discussion today. The most relevant thing where this applies is if you're talking baseball and you refer to someone like Babe Ruth, if you refer to like a player before, like just, if you refer to something that's 100 years old, I don't want to say I would have been a better athlete than that person, but there's no way they're making a professional sports team today. On a lesser note, if you're looking at a player that played 30 years ago, I'm not saying that they're not making a team. I'm not going to be that aggressive with you. We're going to go Bo Nix as one of our quarterbacks here. We'll go Levis with the other one and hope that we'll get Chick on the way back around. Not saying that NBA players that played in 1980 wouldn't be in the NBA today, or NFL players that played in 1980 wouldn't be in the league today. Maybe they would. Maybe they wouldn't. But they're for sure not at the top of the sport. Frank says Wilt would get cooked in today's NBA. 100%. And obviously there are nuanced ways to talk about this. You can sit here and you can go, well, Wilt, if he was in the league today, would have way more information on how to take care of his body, how to train, yada, 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 have better equipment. So he would be a lot better, which is probably true. But I don't know. I just get really, it's just like a pet peeve of mine when people try to compare athletes from today's era to athletes from, say, 30, 40 years ago and talk about who would have been better. Athletes have never been better by any objective measure you could possibly find. Now, a lot of that has to do with knowledge that we have now that we used to not have back then, which, like I said, that's a little more of a nuanced point. But okay, so I think we are going to go ahead. We are going to take a Mr. Bo Nix here as our third quarterback, pair up Nix with Sutton. We did whiff on the Will Levis stack. Doesn't really matter. While I would prefer to have Levis stacked up with Chig, I'm not going to sit here and cry about it. We'll go Bo Nix. We'll maybe mix it up with a tight end that's not getting drafted very often. Maybe we go like Greg Dulcich here in round 18. But I did not even know. Henry says hit the like button now. 14 more likes in the stream before we make our Greg Dulcich pick. And we'll fire up another one. Let me pull up. I was not tracking this at all. So hit that like button if you want another draft, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Let's move this down. Frank says Tom Brady today would still be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. If Tom Brady unretired, he would not be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. If that was true, I bet you Tom Brady would be playing right now. Now, my entire point with that conversation of comparing athletes from 30 years ago to athletes today, Tom Brady is in today's era. Tom Brady won a Super Bowl, 3 years ago? So I think you can look at the Tom Brady accolades and you can compare that to Mahomes. And I don't think it's a conversation of, oh, Mahomes is better because he's at the peak in the era where athletes were better. Nope, because Brady was in the peak as well. Brady played against Mahomes in the Super Bowl. So I think you can still say at the same time, like, oh, Brady's better than Mahomes. You don't have to take into account the eras too much because they literally played against each other. I'm talking about when players never played against each other at all. But looks like we just hit 300. Let's fire up another draft. We had some people saying that they wanted to see a Best Ball Mania. I don't know how many Best Ball Mania teams I have drafted. Let's go ahead and let's fire one up. $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool, $1.5 million for first. And we are in here. And I'm assuming we are going to be off in just 1 second. We are pick 4. Now, the question that you could potentially have at 4 now, that wasn't there previously, is if you think Addison misses time, if you think Hawkinson misses time with his injury, and now that T. Higgins looks like he is for sure going to be playing this season as a Cincinnati Bengal, do we need to flip Jefferson over Chase? It's a serious conversation that we probably need to have. I don't have the right answer for it. I don't know what the right answer is. But I think it's now a play. Can everybody spam the chat? Who would you rather have at this point? Would you rather draft Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson? Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson here at 4. So Jefferson, Chase, Jefferson. I'm going to go Chase for one reason. I think whenever I set my rankings, I'm going to actually update my rankings tonight because we're working on the draft guide a bunch. So if you're on flogfantasy.com, my 2024 rankings should be updated. I think I'm going to rank Jefferson over Chase based off the factors that we just mentioned. However, y'all know I draft a lot of underdog teams, and I probably have drafted just since the Jordan Addison news about 10 underdog drafts, maybe even more than that if we think about all the drafts we've done off the live stream. And I've still seen Chase go at pick 4 in the vast majority of them. And there were 2 separate instances where I had Justin Jefferson fall to us at pick 6 today. So knowing from a balanced portfolio perspective, I don't want to be like 15% Jefferson and 2% Chase. I want it a lot closer than that because I'm not that confident with it. I'll still probably go Chase at 4 until we begin to see other people mix in Jefferson ahead of him. Because once we see that, then at that point we can say, oh, okay, well, we can maybe get Chase later on where we won't be able to get Jefferson. But at the moment, I have Chase in 7% of drafts and Jefferson in 11% of drafts. And if we start taking Jefferson at 4, that gap's probably going to move Chase down to like 5% of drafts and Jefferson up to 13%. And I don't know if we want the gap that big. But Colby says in a keeper league where we have to keep 3, full PPR, single flex format, 6-point passing touchdowns, Bijan, Chase, Pittman, Laporta. I'm going to go Bijan, Chase for sure. Pittman is not even in consideration here. It's really between Laporta and Hurts. And if the 6-point passing touchdown element is going to be pushing quarterbacks up the board in every area of the league, like all your league mates are going to be pushing up quarterbacks, then you can go ahead and take Jalen Hurts over Laporta. But the interesting thing is what makes Jalen Hurts super elite, like potentially QB1 overall from a fantasy football perspective, is in a 4-point passing touchdown league. If Jalen Hurts is racking up a bunch of 6-point rushing touchdowns, the quarterbacks like Joe Burrow and CJ Stroud are going to have a very hard time catching up on Hurts, given the additional 2-point gap that he gets pretty much as an added bonus to his kind of touchdowns. Whereas if it's a 6-point passing touchdown format, if Burrow and Stroud or whoever you may pick, Jordan Love, Mahomes, doesn't matter, they go out there and they lead the NFL in passing touchdowns, the Jalen Hurts rushing touchdowns may not matter as much. So the 6-point passing touchdown element of that actually doesn't benefit Jalen Hurts as much as you would assume. But if the rest of your league mates are going to push up quarterbacks everywhere, and it's like, hey, I keep Jalen Hurts or I have to draft another QB round 1, then it's like, okay, just keep Jalen Hurts, if that makes sense. But Scissors says he'd rather have Chase as a Vikings fan. I thought you were in on McCarthy, my guy. And let me know. Oh, this is something I need to ask you. What is the feel that you have at the moment with Addison? Do you think we get an Addison suspension? What do you think it looks like? We're going to go Metcalf here because I don't think there are going to be a ton of Metcalf Collins teams. I don't love Metcalf at this price, though. But y'all know typically I'm going to try to go Kyron Williams. Kyron Williams has an ADP of 30. I take him in early round 3 pretty much every time that we go wide receiver at the gate. But in this draft here, Kyron goes at 25. Okay. Vinny says 30-second drafts are so slow. I completely forgot that this was the 30-second. Okay. Spear says Chase. QB breaks the tie. I don't want to say QB is a tiebreaker between Chase and Jefferson. I think QB is everything between Chase and Jefferson. Personally, like if we just assume that overall passing volume was the same in both offenses and the quarterback was about the same, I would have Justin Jefferson at the 101 so easily. If Justin Jefferson had Joe Burrow this year, Justin Jefferson would be consensus 101. I don't even think it would be remotely close. Maybe in your regular redraft league where wide receivers are easy to get later, then sure, go CMC, but still, you get the point. So the entire reason we're even having to ask the question, Chase versus Jefferson, is because the disparity in quarterback play and overall passing environment in their respective offenses. I don't want to say like, oh, you go Chase because of the quarterback being a tiebreaker. Like that, you go Chase because quarterback's the only reason, you know. Scissor says, seeing as I have 20% Addison, I sure hope no suspension. Maybe like a 2-game, but I don't think there'll be one. Hopefully there's not one, my friend. Frank says, Addison's suspension will probably be more games than Rice. I know this is the second occurrence for Addison, like we said in our rant yesterday. But if Addison gets hit harder than Rice, or Rice like fled this scene of a crime after getting in a legitimate accident, I don't know. Dan says, do you prefer a 3-5-8-2 build or a 2-5-9-2 build with an elite quarterback? It's going to depend on where you take your second quarterback. So like you saw, we took C.J. Stroud in round 6. I don't know if you're classifying round 6 quarterback as an elite option. But we decided to go with 3 quarterbacks. But we took our second quarterback in round 16. So if our first QB, I mean, if really it's more about the second quarterback. If our second quarterback's round 16, 17, then yeah, round 18, might as well take a third QB. Who cares? Whereas if I went like CJ Stroud and Brock Purdy, then I'm for sure only drafting 2. Diego says Rice isn't getting suspended until 2025. How many instances have we seen this actually play out where a player gets in serious trouble and then we don't see the suspension until 2 years later, essentially? We're going to go Kelsey here, and it's an absolute no-brainer. A big reason why Kelsey is a no-brainer here is if you look at the setup with ADP, there's a shot that we get Mahomes on the way back around, which would just be beautiful. But obviously it happened with Kamara, where Kamara has his incident. He plays the season just fine, and then the next year he gets suspended. Who knows how much of that has to do with the fact that a video came out and the NFL got a bunch of bad press. I don't know. Now, let me move this over. Ben says Vikings suspended a coach for a month before the draft for a DUI this year. There's a big difference between how coaches are treated and players are treated. Whether it should be or not. But, I mean, to be fair to Addison, he's 21, 22 years old, and a coach is maybe 40. You want to come say hi? You're bursting in here to say hi? The princess wants to say hi to everybody. Here she is. Get up here. Come tell everyone what's up. You want to tell them hi? Are you lonely out there? I know. I'll be out there soon. I know. Okay. Just like we wanted, we get Mahomes on the way back around for the Kelsey stack. Absolutely beautiful. Couldn't be better. Super lucky to have it. It's not like some kind of genius here who is the first person to ever have this idea to go, oh, I hope Travis Kelsey falls to me way past ADP. And then I hope Patrick Mahomes falls a little bit past ADP as well. This is just the dream. Got to get lucky every once in a while. And it happens. Okay. But, I actually have good news. Good news. I don't want to jinx us, but I think I have a meetup spot booked for pretty sure. And I'm hoping that tomorrow or the next day I can get y'all a ticket link for the meetup. Oh, and I actually have good news as well. So I reached out to about like 20, 30 places for the meetup. Spent an entire day doing it. It was a pain in the butt. I don't like doing boring stuff like that. But there was a place that got back to me because most places were like, oh, we're going to charge you $3,000. And I'm like, okay, man, come on. There's a place that got back to me that actually was like, oh, yeah, we think our place would be awesome for fantasy football drafts. We would love for you to do it here. We'll get you hooked up with stuff if you're able to promote fantasy football drafts at our place. And I was like, bada boom, bada bang, done. So they waived the fee for us. And at the same time, I tried to get y'all drink coupons where everybody who came got a free drink. But then they were like, oh, okay, well, the bartenders need to get tipped that are going to be there. I was like, okay, understandable. So what we got set up was if you come to the Flock meetup, we have half off beers for everybody who comes. So should be fun. They have food, drinks, and if you're with us, half price beers. It's a brewery called Holdout Brewery in Austin, Texas. It will be August 22nd on a Thursday. Holds about 66 people. They said that's max capacity with all the fantasy football YouTubers that will be there, plus like the developers on the site and my editor. It'll probably be like 16 fantasy football YouTubers essentially. So it'll probably sell about like 50 tickets. So I have no idea how fast or slow they're going to go. There's a chance that we release it and then 2 days later they're all gone. There's a chance that we drop them and then I'm begging y'all to come to the meetup for the next month. So we'll see, but hopefully by tomorrow I'll have a ticket link for y'all. John says Holdout is great. Looks really cool online. I'm probably going to go to check it out, but if you're still here, my guy, you better be showing up. Okay. Now, Rice goes 66. Obviously, when we are here at 69, there is a thought of us potentially going through and we're going to take Hopkins at 69. But there's a thought that if we get either Rice or Worthy falling to us, we'll go with them. We'll go all in on the Chiefs offense. Pretty good offense to go all in on. Not going to lie. But yeah, here you have Worthy going at 61. You have Rice going at 66. Interesting to see Addison go at 68, right in line with ADP. So we'll go Hopkins. And the question is, do we go with a bully QB strategy if we get CJ Stroud making it back to us at pick 76? And do we pair up CJ Stroud with Nico Collins? That's the question. Now, the hesitation with it is, one, we need running backs. Two, we have Patrick Mahomes. And three, we took Jamar Chase. So there's a good shot that we could just decide to go ahead and take Joe Burrow at 93. And if we don't get Burrow at 93, who cares? We're chilling. We have Mahomes. So we'll see. We'll see. Everybody telling us no. We'll see. We'll see if I can behave myself. But sometimes we step out of line here. I have been known to make reckless decisions from time to time, at least in fantasy football drafts, that is. CJ Stroud goes at 74. So I am saved from myself. We'll go ahead. We'll take David Montgomery. We'll get some raw volume in here. The concern is if Gibbs has the red zone role, then we are screwed. But worst case scenario, we're getting 10 carries per game. Best case scenario, minus a Gibbs injury, that is Montgomery holds on to the red zone role and we walk away with double-digit rushing touchdowns this year. Don't know how likely that is. I'm not drafting a ton of David Montgomery. Round 7, but we'll mix it in. Okay. Nightmare says Tyler Lockett just restructured his deal. Not good for him. Let me pull this up. I wish y'all could see this little dog under the desk. Little cutie that wants some attention. Okay, let's pull this up. Henry, I have Nico Collins, my friend. That's why I was considering Stroud in round 7. Okay. Yeah, I don't. Are you referring to Lockett restructuring his contract earlier in the offseason? I thought you meant like, oh, Tyler Lockett just had to restructure his deal again. Not good news. I was like, oh, that would be a little weird. I don't see anything though. Henry says no, team 2. I mean, there are a couple teams doing some crazy things in this draft. Yeah, team 2 goes with an unstacked CJ Stroud at pick 74 when you already have Jalen Hurts. I completely understand an unstacked Jalen Hurts there at 47, right? You can target Dallas Goedert later on and at the same time. I mean, I don't know. Jalen Hurts can go out there and have 2 rushing touchdowns in any given week. So it is a very interesting spot to see the Hurts team take Stroud, but it's also an interesting spot to see the Josh Allen team take Lamar. So just an interesting draft. So we do not get Joe Burrow making it to us, which, to be honest with you, based off what we saw with the other teams in this league going with the bully QB strategy, if Burrow would have made it to us at 93, I would have taken Joe Burrow. Ramondre Stevenson off the board at 90. Jalen Warren goes 91. I'm going to be honest with you. Our one running back's Montgomery. I have 4 receivers already. We don't need to go Sutton in this instance. I think we can just go ahead and dip our toes back into the Cincinnati waters where we already have Chase and grab a Mr. Zach Moss. If you look at the historical comps for Zach Moss going into the season, doesn't look pretty, but he projects out to be the starting running back in one of the league's best offenses, and he just got signed. So Daniel says Warren would be a good bring back. Yeah, the issue is Warren goes before us. FPFO says, how do you decide who to put in your thumbnails? Okay. I'm going to let y'all in on something. Just for the love of God, do not tell anybody. I have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars doing this research and figuring out this secret for YouTube. To figure out exactly who we should put in our thumbnails, here's what I do. I text my editor, hey, can you upload some draft thumbnails? He uploads a draft thumbnail, and then I schedule a live stream. It is... it's definitely a high functioning, high researched, very efficient operation that we're running here. A lot goes behind it, but Starts with the text and ends with me putting up something on YouTube. Okay. Vinny says Mason spent all his underdog winning on the thumbnails. Yes. Y'all have no idea. I literally have, most people have mortgages. I have a rather large personal loan that I took so I could fund exclusive thumbnail research for YouTube. Here is what the very intensive thumbnail research showed. Instead of trying to make it look as professional as possible with a player and something next to it, all shiny, like of every other channel, we get a grainy picture of me from 3 years ago when I still had hair. Throw it next to a player, and bada boom, bada bang, we got a thumbnail. Okay. Kevin says, how do I find an editor? Oh, this is also a secret of YouTube, my friend. My editor has been with me, and he is the godsend of this channel. I mean, he has done everything for us. He freaking tank beast, unbelievable. Here's how I got him, and I'm not joking about that first part. I mean, this guy's a rock star. Just so damn consistent, so damn reliable. You wouldn't believe it. Here's what we did. I opened up the Gmail app one day, and I read an email saying, hey, I watch your videos. I'd like to edit your videos. And I went, sounds good. And history was written. History was written. Spear says Mason is in the red. He's only doing more drafts just to show his love for the flock. It is true. I mean, the amount of personal loans I have to fulfill these drafts, to fulfill my thumbnail research, to fulfill my thorough interview and vetting process for our editor. Let's just say that I have 6 jobs. Okay. Philip says, that meetup sounds awesome. How much do you think the tickets will be? It's about a 4-hour drive for me, but I'd be so down. 2 things. 1, every meetup we've ever done, my friend, we've never sold tickets. The only reason I'm even selling tickets is to make sure that we only have so many spots. So I just want to make sure that if we reserve you a spot, you're actually coming, right? Because if I just throw an RSVP list online and there are only 50 spots, there are going to be 50 people who RSVP that live in Florida, New York, California, and think, oh, maybe I will show up. And then they don't. And then nobody's there. So the only reason we're actually selling tickets is to make sure that people are going to show up. So I sent a message to my editor and to the creators that will be there today. And I said, what is the lowest price you think we can put a ticket at and guarantee that someone that buys it is going to show up? It's probably going to be 10 to 15 bucks, something like that. Because I think $5, people will buy it thinking maybe they'll come and then they may not. But I feel like if you spend 10 bucks on a ticket, you're coming. And that will also get you half off beer. That will also get you a flock hat. I'm going to be losing money on this. Okay. I'm going to be giving you more value in merch than the $10 ticket. But anyway, if you're driving for 4 hours and you think that you may need to get a hotel in Austin for the night, all you have to do is DM me your hotel receipt, and I will know for a fact that, okay, this guy's driving 4 hours to getting a hotel for the night, and I'll just comp you whatever tickets you want. They'll be free to you, just because the only reason we even have the tickets is so I know you're coming and I can save you a spot. We need to pivot back over to wide receiver. We're going to go with Myers here. Typically, we're going to go Myers when we're in a spot where we're not particularly looking to grab like a potential quarterback stack down the road. I mean, if you're looking at some of the wide receivers in this range, like the guy going next to him is Dontavian Wicks. There'll just be other drafts, right, where we have Jordan Love, where it makes a ton of sense to draft Dontavian Wicks in round 11. So maybe if we don't have Jordan Love, we just go Myers. Nick says Wicks is the man here. I know a lot of people really like Dontavian Wicks. We made the video about a month ago going through and, I mean, kind of pumping up Dontavian Wicks and talking down on Romeo Doubs in comparison to where their ADP was at the time, which I still stand by. But I think there'll be more natural spots to take Wicks. and we can just go Myers with this build. Raphael says, did you invite Bijan? Funny, actually, this is perfect timing. Let me show you all this real quick. The last meetup that we had in Austin, it was like freezing outside. Someone pulled up a local like artist in Austin and made me this mug that I'm drinking out of right now with a picture of Bijan and myself. So, Bijan, if you're watching this, my friend, please shoot me a message. And yeah, maybe we can have a sleepover. If you need a place to stay, I got you. You can sleep on the couch. I can make space in my bed. Well, whatever you need, my guy. Just shoot me a text. But Philip says, sounds good, man. I'll email the receipt. May actually be able to have some buddies that live down there to stay with. So either way, 10 to $15 is worth the fun and easily pays for half price beer. Appreciate you, my friend. Really looking forward to seeing you at the meetup. Thank you. Hopefully, I was hoping that I was going to have tickets that I could send the link in with the chat tonight, but sadly we don't. Nick says, I'm also a biased Packers fan, but I believe Wicks has the upside to be the Packers wide receiver 1, such a good route runner. I was surprised when we did the research for the draft guide of how Wicks does analytically look better. If you look at things like yards per route run, Wicks looks better than Romeo Doubs, straight up. Okay, so if we were to go with the tight ends coming up here at 141, we probably don't need to take a third tight end when we have Travis Kelce. And this could be a very interesting example of, okay, if you go with an elite quarterback, like if you go Mahomes round 5, are you preferring to go 2 QBs or 3 QBs? And here, if I would have had another quarterback by this point, if I would have got a quarterback in round 11, if I would have got a quarterback in round 10, round 9, then of course I'm only going to go 2 quarterbacks. But here, with the way this draft's trending, my next quarterback may not be until round 15, 16, 17. So this may end up being like a draft where we kind of want to target one of the tight ends specifically so we can allow ourselves to take 3 tight ends later on and only have to draft 2 tight ends right now. Spear Spartan says, Addison deleted all of his Viking stuff off his socials. Okay. You know what? Oh my gosh. I cannot believe I didn't think about this. God, he is such a good dude to me. I mean, he is so nice. He does exactly what I need from him. Jordan Addison DM'd me like a month ago. I guess he watched my video hyping him up this season, yada, yada, yada. A bunch of players watch my videos, duh. And he just sent a cryptic message saying, I got you. Didn't know exactly what that meant at the time. But maybe Jordan Addison all along here is playing 3D chess and is trying to get sent to the Los Angeles Chargers. Is trying to get sent to the Buffalo Bills. Maybe Jordan Addison here is saving his fantasy season by attaching himself to an elite level quarterback. I can't believe I didn't think about this earlier. Okay, so we go Dalton Schultz, pair him up with Nico. I think it's a natural thing. I think we are going to look at quarterback, running back, wide receiver for the rest of this draft. We're going to take Sticky Ricky and act like we have a good reason to. I'm going to... I don't know. I don't even know what little thing I can make up to act like Sticky Ricky or 148 is a good pick. Vinny says, trying to get traded to the Cowboys to play with Trey. God dang. Addison, my guy, thank you. Thank you. Bone says, Addison posted himself drinking outside again. There's no way. There is no way that Jordan Addison deleted all Viking stuff off socials and then started posting pictures of him drinking. I'm looking this up. Jordan Addison. Okay. I'm on Instagram. Not gonna lie. I never really go on Instagram. One thing. But I don't know if I've ever pulled up an NFL player's Instagram. I don't know if they all look this cool. But god dang, Jordan Addison looks cool. I do not see him drinking at all. I don't see any Viking stuff. But he looks like he is living life. Let me pull up his Twitter. And there's no way Jordan Addison gets sent out of. I'm joking here, just in case you don't know. There's no way he gets sent out of Minnesota. Yeah, I don't even know if Jordan Addison has a Twitter, so the thing of him posting himself drinking seems to be a lie. Okay. Now, let's move this around. This is a team at running back. We have Montgomery, Moss, Mostert, Javonte. This is arguably the grossest running back room that anybody has ever drafted. Adrian says not a lie. Where did he... Where did he do it? Utalk says, I heard there's a pic with a mimosa on his Twitter. Maybe Jordan Addison does have a Twitter. I'm not good at social stuff, so if y'all can't tell, I try to spend as little time as possible on social media. I spend way too much time on YouTube. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, I looked up Jordan Addison and cannot find his Twitter. See a bunch of memes about him, but yeah, I watch YouTube videos from the second I wake up to the second I go to bed. But in terms of Instagram, Twitter, I will say the past few months I have been using Instagram Reels. And in the past, whenever I'd use TikTok, like I would get on TikTok, I would be on there for like 30 minutes or an hour and then go, oh my gosh, I hate myself. I can't believe I wasted all this time doing this. This is a time suck, and I felt really bad about it. But over the past few months, I only have Instagram on my phone for some time because I realize I'm spending too much time on Instagram Reels, and I'll make myself delete it. We're going to go ahead. We will take Geno Smith. We'll pair him up with DK Metcalf. But I'll spend like 30 minutes on Instagram Reels. And at the end of those 30 minutes, I'm like, that's a well-spent 30 minutes. I'm not going to lie. I saw some pretty funny things. Made me laugh a lot. And I feel better. So it is weird that like whenever I had TikTok, I spent a lot of time on TikTok, but felt really bad about it. And whenever Instagram's on my phone, I'll watch a bunch of Instagram Reels. I know I shouldn't be doing it, but I don't feel bad about it. Like, I think it's like a thing that's like referred to like regretted minutes versus non-regretted minutes. Like the Instagram Reels algorithm, it just shows me stuff that I kind of like. And also, YouTube Shorts like I said, I watch YouTube all the time. I have YouTube Premium, so I pretty much have the audio of YouTube videos going off at all times. I always go like in and out of different like areas of YouTube, and I'll spend like a month hyper fixating on something. Right now, what I've been watching on YouTube, which is so damn good, and I'm sure y'all have seen this before, is there's this streamer called like Kajoba or something like that. And I've never seen his actual live streams. I've just seen the video highlights, and they're all from like 2-3 years ago. but he'll mess with like scam. Oh, I didn't tell you all this story. This is a good story about my personal life too. But because I watched him, I saw this happen. So he'll mess with like scam callers. So he'll like answer scam callers and he has like a voice filter. So he'll talk like an old lady, and he sounds like an old lady. And he'll talk with these scam callers and mess with them for like 5 hours, acting as if he's actually going to go buy them Visa cards and send them Visa cards and yada, yada, yada. And it's just really, really funny. And it's a good thing that he wastes these scam callers' time so they can't actually call grandmas. But if y'all heard of like the refund scam, so essentially what happens is like a scam caller will email you saying, hey, you bought this thing off Amazon. Call us if you want a refund. The old person calls them, goes, hey, I didn't buy this. I want the refund. They go, okay, give me control of your computer. And then they act like they refund you too much money to your bank. And they go, you owe us $3,000. You need to go to Walgreens right now and buy us $3,000 of Google Play gift cards and send them over, or we're going to freeze your bank. Obviously, they can't do that. Obviously, it's all a scam. But old people, you can't blame them for falling for it. We are going to go ahead. We will take Bucky Irving. We still just desperately need running backs at this point. But anyway, I was at Walgreens. I was picking up some pictures for this little frame over here. Let me point to this, get the whole story going. I got a picture for that frame. I was at Walgreens. I was standing in line for the picture thing. And some like old Asian dude walks in and he's like on speaker. And he's being directed to like where the gift cards are and to go buy gift cards. And I'm sitting there going like, okay, should I go talk to him? Is this my place? Is this a scammer? And then I could tell that the guy was like out of it and didn't really know what he was doing. And I was like, okay, this guy's about to get scammed. So I walked over and told the guy, I was like, hey, I'm pretty sure you're getting scammed. You need to hang up the phone right now. And he was like, no, it's Apple. It's Apple. I'm like, Apple's never going to call you and tell you to go buy them gift cards and send them gift cards. That would never happen. And then I had to go get and he didn't believe me. So I had to go get like the Walgreens manager to come and explain to him that he was getting scammed. And then the manager he let the manager have the phone. I understand him not letting me have the phone. I'm just some random kid. And the manager was like, what can you, it's like, hi. And the manager knew what was happening once I told her, I'm sure it's happened there before. And she was like, hey, what can I help you with? And the scammer hung up right away. And then it was so sad because it's like a guy he seemed like, I don't know, he wasn't that old. He seemed like he was just maybe super new to America or something. I don't even know how to describe it, because then I was trying to tell him that he needed to go to like the bank. I was trying to tell him like he needs to call the bank and get all his stuff canceled because he told us that he gave all his information. And then I like mapped out Wells Fargo for him. And I was like, I hit the navigation. I was like, just follow this when you drive. It'll take you there. And he was like, no, I need it all written down. So we had to like write down all the directions for him. So I really hope the end of the story is, I was thinking about this earlier today. This happened last week. I really hope the end of the story is he made it to Wells Fargo. They canceled all his stuff. He did not answer. But what I am afraid that happened, so I'm afraid the scam caller called him like 5 minutes later. I was like, hey, you need to go to a different store and get me gift cards. But I don't know. But anyway, Adam says, just got Bijan at 9 and Gibbs at 16. Did I light this entry? You did not, my friend. I just took Bijan, I think it was like at 8 and then Gibbs at 17 in a draft earlier today. And it's such an interesting start. I took it in the sprint though, and mine is an 8-hour timer. So my draft hasn't played out yet, but I think if you can go Bijan Gibbs, that's a super interesting spot. Nightmare says, I got skimmed once and learned my lesson. It's just it's like sad to see it happen. Frank says, why did you redeem it? Yeah, it's so funny. So what this guy will do, he'll mess with the streamer. He'll mess with the scammers a bunch of different ways, but he'll act like he's like a super incompetent, like grandma. He has like the voice filter and stuff on for it. And then he'll waste like 5 hours of their time. And he has all these pre-recorded things. He is a way, way bigger YouTuber than I am. All the videos I watch of his have like 3 million views. So like he has like a high production thing, and he'll like be on the phone with them, and he has like sound effects to make it seem like he's still driving. He's driving and there's noise going on outside. But anyway, he'll waste like 5 hours of their time, And he has a bunch of fake sites. He doesn't actually give him his real bank info. He gives them like fake bank things that he has set up, like specific websites for it, and they fall for it because it just all looks very real. But he has like this fake Google Play redeem thing where he can put in like any number and then press redeem, and it will say $500 was just added to your account. So he'll act like after 5 hours, he's finally about to give the scammer like the $3,000 in Google Play gift cards. And he'll go through and he'll type them out. And then real quick, we are going to take Jalen Hyatt to pair up with Daniel Jones as our QB3 and our wide receiver 7. But let me show this off real quick. Honestly, pretty good team. I think that could have been a little better. Maybe running back, we were a little light. Maybe we shouldn't have gone with the 3 quarterback build. But ultimately, I'm happy with it. Maybe if we were to get like an HN injury, it's nice, but we'll see. But anyway, let me finish the story. It's pretty funny. So he'll go and like he'll have like the site that you can type in a bunch of like random numbers into this Google Play gift card, and then the scammers are like he gave him access to the like this monitor that he has. Like they think he has access. They have access to his computer, so they're like watching him do it. And of course they want to redeem it on his account, and then he'll like, okay, I'm sitting 2 down. He'll press redeem, and then they just spaz and they just scream like, don't do it. And then he just does it over and over again with like 5 gift cards, acting like he thinks he's sending the money. It's really funny. It's really funny. Okay, John says he's the GOAT. He actually hacked into the hacker's server and took back over $2 million in scam money. Gave it back to the I like watching that. But I'm watching YouTube nonstop. And yeah, I always go into like different rabbit holes. I watch this guy. I've never watched him actually live stream, but I've watched a bunch of his videos maybe like 2 years ago and then kind of forgot about it. And then just the algorithm hits you with one, and I watch one. And now I've watched like one every single day over the past 2 weeks. But yeah, really funny. Let me get y'all the actual link to things. I'm not going to see y'all the link. I'll show you his channel though, in case you want to watch a video. Obviously, I'd rather you watch more Flock Fantasy videos, but this guy's pretty damn funny. This is the guy. I think that there are more people who do the same thing. This is the guy that I've been watching. That's really funny. Sorry, I got the screenshot for y'all now. His name is Kit Boga. They're long videos, so I definitely wouldn't like sit down. And you don't really need to be watching the screen either if you kind of understand what's going on. You really just need to like to have the audio, kind of like how my videos are or my live streams are. So like if you wanted to like, I've been watching it a lot. If I go on the Stairmaster at the gym, I'll like have underdog drafts going and I'll have this playing in the background since I have YouTube Premium. But this is the channel. That's really funny if y'all want to check it out. But I think that's all I got for you. Really appreciate you. Really hope you have a great day. And yeah, I'll be live tomorrow night. If you want to come hang out with me, I would really appreciate it. But thanks so much for everything. And I really hope I get to see you tomorrow.